Thomas Partey, having parted ways with the club of Arsenal, he has just been charged with 5 cases, rape and sexual assault. Welcome to this channel. As a shocker comes in through from man known as Kyle Walker, obviously finding himself into a team known as Burnley, and then we also have another story coming in through from a side of Pogba, the man that is responsible for convincing him to join the side of Monaco, has spoken out. This is Rokani Media Football it is, and let's obviously run it like no other. So continue to subscribe, and after subscribing, the notification bell that will enable you get notified every time I upload a video onto this beautiful channel of ours. Fabrizio Romano has told us that Thomas Partey officially charged with rape by the Metropolitan Police Service. The Crown Prosecution Service has authorized the Metropolitan Police Service to charge a man after a file of evidence was submitted by detectives. The Met has issued a charge and requisition to Thomas Partey, 32, on the 13th of June, born on the 13th of June 1992, of Hertfordshire, in connection with following offenses: 5 counts of rape, 1 count of sexual assault. Offenses alleged to have taken place between 2021 and 2022. So Thomas Partey has been charged, and if at all you've been living here for some time, you know to it that in 2022, Thomas Partey never even traveled with the side of Arsenal in Germany. You understand? In Cologne. Was it Cologne? I don't even remember very well, but they started playing in Germany, I think in 2022, when they brought in Gabriel Jesus. And when they brought in Gabriel Jesus, Zinchenko, who else? They brought in 3 good players, that summer, and Partey never even traveled with them to Germany. But when they're flying to the US, he fled out with them, but Partey really had his own bodyguard because these counts were really on. So after him leaving the club of Arsenal and Arsenal failing to extend his contract, these charges have gone ahead to be really launched onto Thomas Partey. What message does that send to you? It sends you a message that something was being done by the big gurus at Arsenal. I think they held in a little bit and they're like, let's see him really run his contract down, and after that maybe this case will obviously be given room to really happen, because it was very evident by then. The wife was on Snapchat pouring out all sorts of evidence on how Thomas Partey went ahead to obviously do the needful. And by the way, the wife, I think, has gone ahead to obviously charge him 2 rape cases, and the other rape cases are coming in through from 2 different women. That shows you that this has been cooked for some time, and maybe they wanted to see whether they really have enough evidence. And you will never at any one time really stop the police from really knowing when to obviously throw in these charges or not. But for Partey, it shows you that maybe Arsenal were covering in for him. Now, we now understand why Arsenal never even at any one point wanted to obviously give Thomas Partey the contract that he wants, because they knew to it that the moment he leaves, that's when this case was obviously going to be really put on him. So Partey is leaving the side of Arsenal on a bad note, and all I know is that he hasn't gone ahead to return to England. But we know to it that the country where he was born and bred, that is Ghana, was colonized by England or United Kingdom, and if he doesn't show up, they have all what it takes to obviously make life hard for him as Thomas Partey. So we are waiting to see how that pans out, but it's not good news for Partey, and I'm waiting for different explanations altogether, and how things are really going to be really dealt with down there. So from that, we obviously head to a point of reference, and that is how Man United went ahead to handle the Mason Greenwood situation. I think Arsenal is going to hate obviously handle this better, and I think United would have obviously have a very big hand in this to obviously stop or protect their player, but I think they never did it. Never did they come out obviously protect their player, because I see to it that if it really had all what it took to really see Partey's case really being covered for all this long, I think, however much the girlfriend put out the evidence of him being beaten by Mason Greenwood, it would have gone ahead to be dealt with better. That is it. So that is it for Thomas Partey. Rape charges have been really put out on him and one sexual assault. So wait and see how things pan out and how the proceedings of law will obviously take their course. And it's a very sad story for Thomas Partey, but if he did it, then evidence will obviously have to really catch up on him. But it comes in at a very hard time of his career where he's looking in for a new club. And with this, you obviously anticipated that clubs that wanted him, like Barcelona, that are really reputable, might not really move close to him because they don't want such tainted players or accused players close to their brands. But Thomas Partey is still innocent until proven guilty. That is it. Kyle Walker. Burnley are on the verge of signing Kyle Walker on a permanent deal from Man City. Agreement at final stages as reported by David Austin, with clubs completing deal worth up to £5 million package. Then, here we go, coming through later. Burnley agree a deal to sign Kyle Walker from Man City. All done. And here we go. Permanent move worth up to £5 million. If Walker will play 70% of the games, Burnley stay in the Premier League. 2-year contract agreed, and first part of medical tests already took place. Now, Kyle Walker fell out with the manager of Man City, and he was like, I want to go. And he went to AC Milan. He pushed for a move during the January transfer window and went ahead and really played there. But even at AC Milan, they're like, we are not obviously going to be keeping you here. We are going to be throwing you elsewhere. So, all we are waiting for is for Burnley to really announce this deal, but the player has gone ahead to move on to the side of Burnley. Therefore, but Man City is getting £5 million, and that will obviously go on as planned. Then Partey, Pogba, returning from a ban that never even lasted, I think, for 1.5 years. AS Monaco director Thiago Skuru, that was going to sign him, has come out and said, we are happy to have Pogba with us, but he won't be ready against Le Havre already. It can take a process around 3 months to see Paul Pogba back in good shape, obviously. But I think they've gone ahead to sign a reputable player, talented, and if you're Pogba and you want to relaunch your career, you can obviously do it at the side of Monaco. And I know very many clubs are obviously coming in through chasing in for Pogba because of what he can do and what we know he is really capable of as a player. But as it stands for now, I think Pogba can really see himself play more and more and more. And by the way, you can find him replaying the World Cup. And he can see himself in a Ballon d'Or if at all he really gets his mistakes that he did in the past right. Because Paul Pogba is a very good player, and I've already told you that on his day, he's the best midfielder in the world. You understand? So, as it stands, he's nowhere off playing more football. I know he's really grown, but we've gone ahead to see players in their mid-30s rise their bar a lot. So, if he can impress Deschamps and take him to the World Cup I know Paul Pogba can be one of the best. If at all he really rectifies what really troubled him way back at the start, at the peak of his career, when he signed from Juventus to Manchester United, I think he can become one of the best players. So tell me your thoughts about Partey charged with 5 rape cases. What do you make about it? And what do you make about Kyle Walker going to Burnley and Paul Pogba being welcomed down at Monaco by the sporting director? Way out.